Hey everyone, welcome to a little bit of a different video, something I thought I would try out here. You know, one of my main focuses on this channel is to help you discover new games that you want to play, and I think that an interesting thing to do for that is to chime in on the sales that are available as they come. And especially with the upcoming holiday season, you know, we're going to have sales on Humble Bundle, Steam, other websites. And I thought maybe it would be nice to have someone to kind of walk through the first chunk of pages with you on the sale and help you to get a feel for what games are out there, whether the discounts are worth it, and that kind of stuff. So that's what we're going to do in this video. For Humble Bundle, I'm basically just going to do the first 50 pages of the sale, browsing through at least the first 50. And so what I have done is I've gone to Humble Bundle, I've gone to the on sale tab, and I have sorted everything by release date. Now, my thought with this is there's going to be a lot of new games that aren't going to have great discounts out. So we can skip a couple of pages here, and a lot of the really old games you've probably heard of or you're familiar with, or they'll pop up in some kind of different video. But I'm going to assume that you're kind of looking for something that's a little bit newer that maybe you haven't heard of or you want someone's opinion on, and for that reason we're going to focus on the stuff that's new and hopefully is steeply discounted. Now, there's over 200 pages of this sale, so we're going to go through approximately 25% of what's actually on sale. You can go back further than that if you want, and if you're looking for a specific recommendation about a specific type, style, or genre of game that you want me to give you an opinion on for a particular sale deal, feel free to post it in the comments below. Chances are I've heard of the game, played the game, and can give you some information on whether the deal is good or the game is worth it or not. All right, so we're going to kick this off, and all I'm really going to do is I'm going to scroll down. Like I said, if you see something and you're like, hey man, you skipped this, what do you think about this game? Let me know. I'm going to try to focus on the stuff that has a decently deep discount that I also know is really good, or I have heard is really good. And I'll try to make a distinction between whether or not I've played the game as we go. So this first page is just going to be a bunch of stuff that is new, and a lot of it is going to have like your standard, 10-15% off discount or whatever. It's a way to get this stuff to show up on sales pages, even though it's not really on sale. But I mean, I make a couple comments anyway. Like Ziggurat's a pretty fun game that I played, and it has a sequel that's coming out that actually looks pretty decent. Have not played this at all. Enter the Gungeon is a game that I have enjoyed and probably will end up let's playing on the channel. And it has a sequel that's totally different that actually has a pretty solid discount. So check that out if that's something that, if you enjoyed Enter the Gungeon. Like I said, this one's different, but it's still there. And that actually, 30% off is a pretty solid discount. As we keep moving through, we've got a lot of, like I said, the 10, 15, maybe 20% discounts off of new games, which aren't that big of a deal. So we're going to keep on going. Also, I have a lot of pre-orders and stuff like that in here as well. You can pick up Ring of Pain for 20% off. It's not huge, but the game is relatively new. And it's a lot of fun if you like roguelike card games, which I do. I played that on my Hollow stream on my Twitch channel. Lots of games here that I've actually played. They just don't have a deep enough discount to mention, or that I've had my eye on. Same thing. Against the Moon is a pretty interesting strategy card game. 33% off is, it's okay. I don't rank this as like a super awesome game so far. The art style is a little bit odd, I think. I'll probably have this one on the channel, but I figured I'd mention that in case you are just like itching for something absolutely totally new. We're going to start getting into the deeper discounts, probably around page 10 or so. Lots of football, soccer stuff here. Oh, here come the RPG Maker RPGs every time. Every time. Star Renegades is 15% off, but, That's not much of a discount, but I've been playing that one on the channel, and it's pretty good. Paradise Killer is a sort of point-and-click style adventure game that's been getting a lot of good reviews. 25% off. You know, that's $5 off of 20. That's actually pretty significant. I mean, the 25% off when the price is lower, I think, can make a big difference. I haven't played this one yet, but I've had my eye on it. I'm not sure if I'll get around to playing it on the channel, though. All right, we got A Long Way Down. It's a card game that I have and have played, and I'm not too crazy about it. But if you're looking for something to play, it's there. It's not terrible. Iron Harvest, a little too expensive, a little too low of a discount, but this has been getting good ratings for like a modern sort of mech RTS style game. I always enjoy these doodle games. They're kind of like just stupid, silly, casual games where you try to combine things in order to make weird animals or tanks or elements or stuff. And these are like really deeply discounted. If you're looking for something like super cheap and super casual, the doodle games are always like just a solid pickup. You know, you're not gonna sit there and like, you know, have a new favorite game of the year, but you know, if you just want to idly click on some stuff and have a mini puzzle challenge, especially for like $3, those are pretty good. Let's see, we got Ring of Pain demo for completely free. You can pick that up on Steam as well. All right, we got Risk of Rain 2 only coming in at a 20% discount, which I'm not entirely sold on a 20% discount being worth it to pick up on a sale here. Pop-up Dungeon, 25% off. You can see what I have in my cart. What I have in my cart is stuff that I'm considering picking up potentially for myself. Pop-up Dungeon is a pretty interesting looking turn-based strategy game with a really, really unique art style that I think is pretty cool. Chances are I won't end up picking it up here because I'm probably going to wait for like a 33% or higher to pick up the game. It's a little bit on the pricier side, and I have plenty of other turn-based stuff to play, so picking it up right now is kind of, you know, it's kind of overkill at the moment, but it definitely looks pretty cool. Siren Fate's only on a 10% discount, but man, I wanted to mention this one to you guys because it's kind of like a fantasy looking Harvest Moon combo. So if you like take Harvest Moon, but then you combine it with like fantasy elements, I don't know, this is early access. It's something I got my eye on. I never really got into or played Stardew Valley, so maybe this is where I pick it up, or maybe I go back at some point and do a Stardew Valley run. I don't know. Fae Tactics is a Final Fantasy style tactics game, which has been getting good reviews. I was really excited about it, and then I was just kind of like I don't know if I was in a funk when I played the demo or what, but it didn't feel as deep as I kind of hoped that it would. Other side, this is on a steep 30% discount, and this one here is a really interesting turn-based strategy game that I'll probably end up playing on the channel. 30% off, still only puts it at $24, and this game has basically been discounted that high ever since it came out, to the point that I actually think that $25 or so is what the developers were shooting for the actual like money they wanted to make for the game, and so they just hiked it up so that they could discount it down and it could constantly be on sale. I think there might be some shady tactics going on there just because of how long it's been on sale. But that said, it is a really interesting grid-based, turn-based strategy game with a really cool-looking art style. I've watched a couple Let's Play videos from other content creators for this game, and I think it looks really good. And it's a game that I'm interested in picking up and playing, but I'm kind of, you know, I got fell seal for the grid-based stuff at the moment. So chances are I'll pass on that for right now. But, you know, $25, like I said, it's been on sale. I don't I don't know if I'd recommend picking it up at this price because this just seems to be the normal price. And I don't know if that's something the developers intended or what. So we got lots of DLCs for Deep Rock Galactic here, which is a pretty solid game, but we'll talk about it when we get to it. Nothing too crazy on page 13. Let's see. Neon Abyss has been getting some really good reviews for like a crazy platformer. Only 20% off again, so nothing too crazy there. Right here, Fell Seal Arbiter's Mark plus the Missions and Monsters DLC for 54% off for $20. Like, this is a rock solid deal. If you watch the first video that I put up for Fell Seal and you are interested in all that turn-based strategy goodness, then 54% off is pretty nice because the baseline game is somewhere around $25, $22, something like that, and then the monsters, Missions and Monsters DLC is around $10. So getting both of those for $19.77 is actually pretty solid. And if you're gonna play the game, what I have read and heard is that if you haven't played yet, it's best to just go ahead and play with the DLC. I know that's a concern sometimes, like, well, do I need the DLC right away? And this DLC adds in stuff to the game like right away that isn't that you can play with in your first playthrough. So yeah, here's the DLC, 25% off for about $10. So you get a pretty big discount going for that bundle they have. Persona 4 Golden is only 20% off, but that puts it at $16. And this is a super duper popular JRPG that is ported over to the PC from, I believe, PlayStation 3 or something like that. I haven't played this Persona. I've played the fifth one. I'm actually really waiting to see if they port the fifth one over to PC, and then I'd probably end up doing a playthrough of that. I haven't personally. I have played this one a little bit at some point on console or PSP or something like that, but not a whole lot. I kind of struggle with JRPGs, but if you like JRPGs, this is absolutely one of the top rated ones available right now. Moving on from there, we got the Elder Scrolls Online expansion pack upgrade here for super cheap. Elder Scrolls Online is a pretty fun MMO, so if you haven't tried out Elder Scrolls Online, you can just pick up the DLC and just go play that DLC. You don't have to grind your way through all the other DLCs. You can literally log in and just go level in this content if that's what you want to do. Greymoor is set in the Skyrim region, so I'm pretty sure most people know what the heck Skyrim is. And if you want to play that in Elder Scrolls Online, then, I mean, that's a really good deal on the Greymoor expansion. So, really solid pickup. Monster Train is 30% off. Monster Train is worth the money, no percent off. In my opinion, it's one of my top 5 games of 2020, hands down, no contest. Might be number 1. Definitely, probably, definitely in the top 3, I would say. I haven't looked around, but I've played a lot of Monster Train. 30% off Monster Train. Guys, if you've seen the video and you think it looks cool, just pick it up, man. These developers deserve every dollar that you can give them, and this is just a fantastic game, super highly recommended by me. So here's Deep Rock Galactic. So Deep Rock Galactic is an interesting game that I wish I had more friends to play with because it is a multiplayer game where you play as these dwarves and you're trying to dig down into these caves and stuff and collect resources, and you've got objectives, but there's lots of guns and shooting, and there's everything is kind of what's it called? I can't remember the name now. But all the terrain is basically destructible. So you're blowing holes. Red Faction, I think that's the game that was like this. So you're just kind of like blowing holes through the walls and stuff like that, and like upgrade your weapons, upgrade your characters. There's different classes, but this is a game that you can play with, I believe, a party of 4 is kind of, yeah, 1 to 4 player co-op, 4 unique classes. And this is a game that 100% plays best if you can get up to the full 4 people. If you're playing by yourself, I think you're just kind of like doing it wrong. This is the kind of game you definitely want to play with at least one friend. So if you guys out there are looking at this and you're like, man, that sounds kind of cool. Like, I would love to have more people to play Deep Rock Galactic with. I have this. I have not progressed very far because I just haven't had a lot of people to play with consistently. So 30% off Deep Rock Galactic. It's got stellar reviews on Steam, 97% overwhelmingly positive. Fantastic game. And if you do happen to pick it up, you know, you can hit the Discord, shoot me a message and be like, hey man, you want to play some Deep Rock? And chances are, if I've got the time and stuff available, I'm going to say yes. So definitely check that one out. Gordian Quests. It's only 15% off. Really good game that I've been, you know, enjoying the Let's Play for here on the channel. If you've been enjoying it, I mean, 15% off is better than no percent off. It's a great game that the developers pay a lot of attention to and continuously updates. I know that's something that for early access games and games that release out the gate, you always kind of got to be worried about, like, oh, this game looks really good, but then, you know, it goes like 6-8 months with no updates and no word from the developer, and it, you know, might as well just not be a good game. And that's not the case with Gordian Quest. So if you've been watching the Let's Plays and you think it looks interesting, then yeah, 15% off is pretty solid. The game just officially launched this year, I believe. So like, the discounts aren't likely to get much higher than that in the near future. Hypercharge Unboxed is another game that I feel like you need to play with multiple players, and I have not yet played, but looks pretty cool. It's a sort of co-op. If we get in here, it's a co-op like tower defense with wave-based shooting, but you play essentially as like army men. So if you ever played the old, you know, army men games on like PlayStation and stuff like that, which I did, they were a lot of fun. You kind of play as like an action figure, first-person shooter setting, and you're playing co-op with tower defense and wave-based shooting. I freaking love these kinds of games. And once again, this is the kind of game, I do own this game. I have not yet played it, but it's got 91% very positive reviews, and it's been getting good reviews across the board. And I'd be down to play this with someone as well. So 15% off is nothing too crazy. But, you know, once again, if you're looking for that type of game and you think this looks interesting, I've already got it, and, you know, I'd be happy to play it with you. Erotis, Lord of the Dead is a really popular sort of twist on like a Darkest Dungeon style game where you play as a necromancer, and your whole like game mechanic is that you are crafting these undead minions and you're going down to fight other stuff in the dungeon, collecting more resources, exploring, expanding. This is a game that is gonna end up on the channel at some point. They just released a DLC as well. I think it's called Wrath of the Necromancer. Really interesting looking game. If you're looking for a deep unit-based RPG that kind of doesn't hold your hand and has a like Souls-like level of like, you know, punishing you when you die and stuff, this is a good pickup, and 40% off. The price here is pretty solid. So $15 to pick up Erotis, Lord of the Dead. You're going to get a lot of gameplay time out of that. Fallout. No, I'm just kidding. No Fallout 76. Let's see, we got some DLCs for Planet Zoo. That's a game that I have and I'm thinking about doing a Let's Play for on the channel. So you guys let me know what you think. One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. As I'm not even kidding, I've been waiting for this to drop down to 50%. That's been like my thing to keep myself from spending too much money on it, is just, hey, when it's 50% off, that's when I'll go and get it. I played One Piece Pirate Warriors 3 like crazy. If you don't know what this is, like One Piece is a anime, pretty popular, pretty good one. And the Pirate Warriors series is like a Dynasty Warriors style series where basically you just go in with over-the-top One Piece characters and you smash hundreds of enemies at the same time and do boss battles and stuff. And yeah, I've really enjoyed the previous iteration of this game. I've heard this one is not quite as good, but I honestly just don't care. And I've been waiting for it to be 50% off, but it has not gotten there yet. This game, I believe it does have online co-op as well. Let's see here. It doesn't say, but I'm pretty sure it has online co-op. All right, moving on from there. Tangle Tower actually is a really interesting looking point and click adventure detective style game. So if you're into those, this one does look pretty solid. It looks like it's got a good art style, and I think it's also the latest in a series of games like this. Not that you need to play the previous ones to get this one, but if you play this one and you like it, there's other stuff available to you as well. Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3 is, this whole series is one of the highest rated JRPG series available on the PC. No contest, and 40% off of this does put it at a $36 price tag, but this is a like full AAA $60 game normally, and the ratings for this whole series are just absolutely stellar. You don't really need to play the previous ones in order to play this one, but you can always go back to those, or you can enjoy those at a later time. And yeah, 94% positive here on Steam as well. Obviously, Doom Eternal. Pretty sure you know what Doom is, but we got a 67% discount on Doom Eternal. You can pick that up for $20. Legend of Keepers, Career of a Dungeon Master. This is 100% going to be on the channel in the future. This is a game I really, really, really enjoyed the gameplay for. It's a like strategic, turn-based sort of game where you play as the boss at the end of a dungeon, and the heroes are coming in and trying to invade your dungeon, and you're over here protecting it with your monsters, traps, and magical spells. It's really cool. It has a lot of like math and elemental matchups and combos, and I don't know. I've just like really enjoyed the game ever since I played the demo back last year. And this is another one where the developers pay a lot of attention and continuously update it. And yeah, it's good times. It's only 20% off, but if you're looking for something that's a fun sort of turn-based strategy that doesn't involve cards, because you know, a lot of stuff I play does involve cards, this does not. And it's a little more deterministic in the sense that there's not a whole lot of RNG involved and stuff either. It's really about planning and then watching that planning execute with a you know, some variance in there, so it's not 100% predictable. Very good game. I enjoy it quite a bit. Murder by Numbers is one that I'm probably going to pick up here and play on the channel. It's a Picross game, which I've never really played one of those, and this is kind of a point-and-click adventure detective style game that has some Picross stuff built into it. I've really been wanting to play a Picross game and try it out because it's a genre I haven't really gotten into before, and I really like the art style of this one. The characters are really vibrant. Oddly enough, like the art style kind of reminds me of Hades in terms of the character designs and everything. It just looks really, really good. It's 80% positive, but I don't know. It's not like there's a lot to choose from out there for Picross games. So yeah, this one's 33% off, which brings it down to about $10. So if you like Picross, you're going to see this and another game we're going to get to as well. Curse of the Dead Gods. This is coming to the channel at some point as well. This is a third-person isometric style action RPG, kind of a la Diablo or Hades. I'm actually kind of waiting to get far into Hades before I introduce this one to the channel. But you kind of play as like a Indiana Jones style character where you're going into these temples and there's curses and traps and poisons and spooky, cursed objects and things like that. And along the way, you kind of like pick the blessing of a god, and that sort of helps you. It sounds a lot like Hades, but there's a lot of differences between this and Hades. This is 33% off, so if you liked Hades, Curse of the Dead Gods is probably worth a pickup. Don't expect it to be as good as Hades, because, Hades is, like, unbelievable. According to all the reviews and everything, and even what I played, I can already tell it's just going to be really, really good. But this is in a similar vein with a different vibe, and you could pick this up for show. Iris and the Giant is an interesting turn-based card game that I played previously on Twitch, and it's pretty nice. It has a very interesting concept where you're kind of playing as a girl who is basically being really introspective, essentially fighting her own demons and stuff. It's got a cool art style. If you really, really love card games and you're looking for something to play, like, this isn't the worst thing that you could pick up by any means. If you haven't played Monster Train, like, that should be the game you're picking up. But this is another solid one you can look into. All right. Let's see. Bunch of nothing here. Some games that I've played but wouldn't recommend even at a steep discount. Not going to say what those are, but we're going to keep on moving on. We are 50% of the way through, and now we're into the Sakura games section here. If you want an overly sexualized anime game with mediocre gameplay and lots of visual novel stuff, you can pick up any of these. I haven't actually played any of them, but there's a million of them, so... Picto Quest is the other, I just forgot the name. Pictogram? Style game. This one's a little bit different. It's a roguelike. It's got a pretty cool looking art style. It looks really nice. I'm probably going to bring this one to the channel as well as like a casual attempt at Picross. And yeah, this one's super cheap, 33% off. It's only like $5. So if you're really into the Picross stuff, then this has got 70% positive reviews. It's only 37 user reviews, which makes me think that this really just comes down to a matter of like whether or not this game suits what you want out of it. So it sounds like, 7 out of 10 people, this game was what they wanted, and 30% it wasn't, as opposed to it just being like a bad game all around. So I think for the price, it's probably worth picking up and checking out if you like the Picross stuff, and you can make your own determination, which is probably what I'm going to do because, like I said, I've never really played these styles of games, and I want to give them a shot. Monster Hunter World. You guys know what Monster Hunter is. If you don't, super heavy, in-depth, complicated game about, going out there, hunting down and slaying monsters to craft armor and weapons and make them more powerful, and then to repeat that process over again for the next monster. Highly rated game. 25% off is definitely not the best deal I've ever seen on the base edition of Monster Hunter. So if you're just looking to dip your toes into Monster Hunter, I would not get this version, because you can normally pick up the regular version of Monster Hunter for about $15. But this one includes the latest DLC, which is not that old. And it's the first major DLC expansion, which is Iceborne. So if you want to go all in, actually 25% off is probably a pretty solid deal here. But if you just want to try the base level game, just look for a deal on that, because it's probably going to hit $15 to $20 instead. All right, we got Injustice 2 if you want to play a fighting game. I personally kind of hate these games, but it's mostly because they destroy my disability and I'm not good at these kind of combos anymore. But the Injustice series is a highly rated fighting series set in the DC universe. 80% off. You can pick this up for $12. Probably going to be worth your money. Talisman Origins is a digital edition of a board game where you kind of go around this weird map and complete events and try to work your way into the middle of the board and win. I believe Origins is the single player style, I think. Maybe you can still play it multiplayer, but anyway, it is a digital version of a board game. It's fun. It's solid. It's unique. It's definitely challenging. And it's not a bad pickup for $3.50 if you're looking for something to just kind of, play casually while you're watching Netflix or whatever, and you can take your time on your turns. There's no turn timer or anything crazy like that. There's no story for you to pay attention to. You just kind of play through and see what you can do. All right, continuing on. Let's see. So here's Monster Hunter World Iceborne, the non-deluxe edition for $30. Not terrible. We got Dicey Dungeons for 50% off. So Dicey Dungeons is a game that I've played quite a bit. It's really fun. It has a lot of content. It's a rogue-like dice game where essentially what you're doing is you have a class that has special mechanics and stuff. You also have dice. You get more dice as you level up, and every turn your dice roll, and then you can put them into your pieces of equipment, which you see here, in order to do different things and fight your opponents in kind of like a Pokemon, Final Fantasy sort of way. So essentially like, this spanner will combine dice. So if you put this 5 and this 2 and 3 together here, it'll make it a 5. And then if you put the 5 in this pea shooter, it does 2 damage. You could also just take your 3 dice and put it into your hammer and do 3 shock damage and inflict shock. You can put an odd dice into here to weaken one of your opponent's equipment. It's really cool. It's really interesting. There's a lot of neat equipment that you can get. The roguelike aspect, this is kind of what it looks like when you pop into a map. You just travel around, fight enemies, pick up treasures, go to the shop, and then you go to the next floor. And I just got to say, like, for what it is, there's a lot of content, a lot of variants, a lot of modes, and just a lot to do. 91% positive on Steam. 50% off, $7.50, really solid pickup here as well. This is probably not a top 5 game for me if I were to look at like games that I played a lot this year, but it's probably in the top 10 to 15. Moving on, we've got Fallout 4 Game of the Year edition. Unlike Fallout 76, I think Fallout 4 is actually really, really fun. I played the heck out of this game, primarily on console, so if you were to look at my Steam stats, it doesn't reflect that on there, but I played it on PlayStation 4 for over 80 hours easily. And the Game of the Year edition includes all of the DLC, 70% off, $18 pickup. Man, if you are looking for a fun first-person, you know what a Fallout game is, and like I highly recommend 4. I really enjoyed it. A lot of people did not enjoy the fact that they went a little more heavy into the first-person shooter mechanics, but I like first-person shooters, and so that was just a all-around positive for me, for the guns to feel better and have a lot more to do with your actual targeting. This like building your base and stuff was super cool. There was a lot of neat stuff you could do with it. Like, I've been tempted repeatedly to start a new playthrough of this. I just know it's such a heavy time investment that, I'm hesitant to do it. But if you're looking for a heavy time investment game to play over the holidays, man, I would recommend Fallout 4 for sure. We've got some Shovel Knight stuff in here. Shovel Knight in general is just a really highly rated platforming game, so take a look at any of those if you want. I personally have not played them at all, but they are super highly rated for platformers, and it looks like you got some pretty deep discounts there as well. Darksiders Genesis is a game that's going to be coming to the channel courtesy of the Xbox PC Games Pass, which has a bunch of games on it that I want to play on the channel. This is a different take on the Darksiders games, where it's more of a third-person isometric style game, but it's not quite like a Diablo or a Hades. It still has the controls, I guess, are a little bit different. It's got a 77% mostly positive on Steam, and that's primarily because you've got the people who wanted another Darksiders and didn't get an exact Darksiders. You got the people that look at the screenshots and expect this to be Diablo, and it's not. And then you got the people that play the game, and most of the people that just play the game for what it is do rate the game fairly highly. All right, continuing on, we've got not a whole lot of anything here. We do have what looks like a DLC for Battletech, which we'll see a little bit later on and talk about then. Same thing here, a couple of DLCs for like Cities Skylines. I think all the DLCs for this is on sale. This is another game that I'm kind of interested to know what you guys think about seeing a Let's Play type of thing for Cities Skylines on the channel. I have this game. I've been wanting to play it for ages, and I just haven't for whatever reason. I really liked playing Sim City, the most recent one that everybody hated. I still actually liked it, so I've been wanting to play that, and I thought about bringing that to the channel because I don't have anything like that going on at the moment. Obviously, we got Red Dead Redemption 2 here at a 33% discount, which is a fairly deep discount. You've got to get it through the Epic Store, it looks like. And, I mean, you've heard about Red Dead Redemption 2, and I think you know whether or not you're interested in it. Me, personally, I'm not super interested in it. I don't know. I think it's too heavy of a time investment for something that I'm not sure that I'm really going to enjoy. But plenty of people are excited about Red Dead Redemption 2, and that's a fairly solid discount. Planet Zoo is on a 40% discount. This is a zoo simulator from the makers of Planet Coaster. Like I said, I have this one. I started to play it. I got really overwhelmed in the tutorial, but that's just because I am not a super heavy sim game player. And so for me, it was... I didn't have that baseline, oh yeah, that's just how this works in Sims games sort of place to work from. My wife, on the other hand, plays a ton of Sim games, and she was able to jump into Planet Zoo pretty easily, and I've seen her, on there mapping out zoos and buying animals and stuff and just having an overall good time. 40% discount off on that is really solid, so this is a zoo simulator I can recommend based on her play experiences. A lot of the complaints that she had initially, they fixed in patches and updates. It's pretty gorgeous, and I'm looking forward to probably trying this one out on the channel as well. I'll have to get like a really deep tutorial from my wife first, though, so that don't jump in and just spend 3 episodes totally confused about what the heck I'm doing. If you have VR Until You Fall, it's supposed to be a really, really good VR game. It's one that I've been looking forward to picking up. I do have a VR system, and this is one that I've wanted to play as well. Not a super steep discount on that one, but if you're itching for a VR game, this is kind of an action, fighting, combat sort of game that's supposed to be pretty solid. The Outer Worlds is also going to be coming to the channel, courtesy of the Xbox PC Games Pass as well. The Outer Worlds is, if you looked at Fallout 4 and you were like, man, I want more RPG, I want more story in my first-person shooter, this is the way to go. This is by the people that developed Fallout New Vegas, which is one of my favorite Fallout games of all time, and is more heavily focused on the story, to the point that I think people have done speed runs for this game where they beat the game in like a half hour or something like absolutely ridiculous that shouldn't be, possible with a sprawling RPG. But because, a lot of the fighting and stuff like that is so optional, you can do stuff like that. I'm looking forward to playing this not that way, but with a heavy focus on the actual combat and stuff. So, you look forward to that here on the channel. Once again, this one here you can get via Steam or Epic Games. So either one. It was an Epic Games exclusive for a long time on PC, but you can pick this up. This one's 50% off, so pretty solid discount for a game that is relatively new and came out at like a AAA price. Got the old Prince of Persia games, the remakes. Prince of Persia games are really fun. I mean, any of these games, picking them up for like $2, like if you're not a snob for graphics and you're okay with playing old games, like I loved the Prince of Persia games back in the past, and so I would recommend those all day if you are okay with playing something that is obviously going to be very dated. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth is a pretty highly rated JRPG style game where you play with Digimon. So yeah, if instead of party members you have Digimon, it's not quite like Pokemon. It doesn't really play that, so you're not like, I gotta collect them all. But yeah, pretty highly rated. 60% off, puts it at $20. If you really like Digimon or Pokemon and JRPGs, solid pickup there. Not really in my wheelhouse, but I've just seen nothing but like good things about it. Dragon Star Varnier is a pretty highly rated JRPG visual novel combo that's supposed to have a pretty decent story and a cool combat system. So picking this one up for $60. It's one I've been eyeballing for like a year and I just haven't picked up because, all these JRPGs, they're super heavy time investments. But this one does look really good. It's 82% positive. And a lot of those reviews come down to people who, either wanted more out of the story or wanted less of the story. But all around, I just think it looks pretty sweet if you like these sort of anime-style JRPGs. And it's 60% off, putting it at $16, which is not that big of a deal. Well, I mean, it is a deal. It's not a lot to pick up a brand new, or a nice, lengthy, chunky game like that. Nothing too crazy on page 36. And keep moving on here, see what else we get to. Code Vein. Code Vein is on sale for $24. Code Vein is a game in the style of Monster Hunter or in the style of, what's it called? God, I can't think of it now. But there's another popular anime style series that works this way as well. But basically, this is kind of the same thing. It's sort of a Souls-like Monster Hunter style game where you're going to go around. You wield different types of weapons that have very specific and particular attack styles. You're going to fight, regular monsters on frequently, but you're also going to be fighting big giant bosses and stuff like that as well. This is a pretty highly rated game in general. I think some people weren't, happy with the difficulty level or, had issues here or there, but most of everything that I heard and read about the game was very positive. There was a demo that you can play to check out the game. I played it and I liked it quite a bit. I just haven't been in the market for paying $60 for big games here in a long time. So I didn't pick it up based on that. I'm probably going to pick up Code Vein when it hits about $15, because then I can buy a copy for my wife as well, and we could play it together. And that's about, $30 invested. But if it was just me on my own and I wanted something to play and I really liked the genre, 60% off on this price tag here, this game is definitely going to be worth it. Okay, we got Cat Quest 2 for 30% off. Cat Quest is actually a pretty fun little RPG, or not RPG, it's kind of like an action game. Think like Zelda, but with a weird perspective, and you play as a cat trying to save cats. And Cat Quest 2 is the sequel to that, which allows you to play co-op with a friend. So if you're looking for a solo experience, you should just pick up Cat Quest, the first one, which is likely to have a much deeper discount. But if you're looking for a cute little Zelda game to play with a friend, then Cat Quest 2, 30% off. It's a solid pickup, 96% positive on Steam as well. We got Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch Remastered. Man, this game is pretty darn fun. This originally came out on the PlayStation 2 or 3. I can't remember which one. But this is a game from Level 5. They're the developers of Dark Cloud, the Phoenix Wright series, and a couple other popular series out there. The Dark Cloud games were some of my favorite games of all time. And this is not that, but this is their combined effort with Studio Ghibli, which has done stuff like Howl's Moving Castle, Princess Mononoke, Kiki's Delivery Service, Spirited Away. So this game just feels like playing one of those movies. And in the game, you actually collect all these little, I don't remember what they call them, but they're like Pokemon type things, and they fight for you, and you mix and match elements. And like, it's just a really solid game that I never got to finish, but I really enjoyed what I did play, which was several hours, and it's available right now for $15. And if you're looking to have if you're looking to have a nice RPG experience with a pretty good story and stuff like that, not a super necessarily like mature story, but just a good, kind of fantasy romp story, this is worth like throwing in your library or starting it on now. So definitely can highly recommend this one too. And we got Borderlands 3 available for 67% off. The Borderlands games are some of my favorite. I think if you have not yet played a Borderlands game and you really just want to jump into the latest one, this one is absolutely fine to play and pick up. You also can play it with friends. It's getting DLC content released. It just finished its first year of DLC, and it's moving into its second year of DLC. This is something I have, and I'm happy to pick up and play. But if you're looking for that multiplayer experience, and you want to be able to get into queues and pug groups and stuff, then this is the way to go. This price tag, this is actually really solid. You're going to get a lot of content for $20 without having any of the DLCs, so definitely worth it. If you're just looking for a fun looter shooter style game to play, and you're not worried about playing with friends and queues, and you're okay with not playing the latest version of everything, Borderlands 2 is by far my favorite of all the Borderlands. You can routinely pick up the all DLC included version for $5-10. I think it's the Handsome Jack collection, and it not only does it just have great gunplay and everything else, but it has a fantastic stellar story with a lot of interesting stuff. It's a humorous story, and there's all kinds of cool stuff in there. One of the DLCs is you literally play through someone's D&D campaign. So if you were just going to pick up a Borderlands to have a Borderlands, I would go Borderlands 2 hands down. But if you want to play the latest stuff with content constantly coming out and want to be able to queue up for pugs and everything, then Borderlands 3 is a solid pickup as well. Got some DLC for Overcooked, which is a pretty fun series in general. Greedfall was a game that came out of the gate and was super hyped and everything when it first came out, and then it just kind of dropped off the map. But it is a fun looking Dragon Age style sort of game is kind of where I would classify it, not in the sense of the party based tactics. I can't even remember if this has party based tactics. I think it's just your main character. But it's got a really interesting world. It's kind of set in I don't know, the 1800s or something, whenever the conquistadors and everything were out there. I'm going to mess up these dates, but you got really interesting settings and enemies and stuff. It's just got a vibe that you don't find in a lot of these games. And if you're looking for something with deep RPG character progression and a third-person sort of combat system, then Greedfall is something to definitely look into. 50% off, I honestly think, with how much this game dropped off the map, 50% off is like fine. I kind of would expect it to be like 60 or 70% off at this point, but from what I've read, it does. Losing my voice now. From what I've read, it does offer a lot of content for the price. We're 50 minutes in. I figure if you're here for the long haul. Sorry about that. I've got recordings to do too, so hopefully I'm not losing my voice. All right, what else do we got? We got 10 pages left, and we're moving into, man, we're still not that far back in terms of release dates and everything. I'm actually surprised. I think there were a lot of DLCs in here. Monster Sanctuary is a platforming Pokemon style game. It's a combo of those two. So you kind of do like platforming stuff, and as you go, you just get stopped to do these like Pokemon style battles with the monsters that you have. It's pretty highly rated. And it's an interesting twist on the whole Pokemon thing, and it looks really interesting. Each of the Pokemon has their own talent tree that you can get into and customize each one that way, which I think is something that's unique, and it makes them feel less like, just ability balls like they do in some of the other games. So you could definitely check that out. 33% off is actually pretty solid because this game is an early access game that actually is releasing I think within the next month or something. So like 33% discount on a game that essentially is officially releasing like after this video comes out is a nice deal. Hex Logic. I know this is weird. If you like puzzle games, buy this game. I enjoyed this game so much that I sat down and I played the entire thing in one sitting. It's got 90 levels. It's an interesting sort of numbers puzzle. You can pick it up for $1.49. I got it on my cell phone. It's one of the only cell phone games I played and finished. Yeah, if you like puzzle games, just get it. It's $1.50. Like, just get it. I might get it again. It's been probably a year or two. Maybe more since I played it and beat it, and so I wouldn't mind playing it again. I liked it enough. I like this stupid cell phone puzzle game enough that I would buy it a second time. Got some DLCs for a couple of games here as well. The Metro games are first-person shooter games that are super duper popular and a little bit more on the gritty, grueling, like challenging side. Warhammer Vermintide 2 is a first-person co-op PvE, just like fantasy Warhammer smash and level up sort of game. Super popular. If we get to the actual thing of either one of those, we'll talk about them more in depth. Age of Wonders Planetfall is a not as highly rated version of Age of Wonders. Age of Wonders is a fantasy-based hex grid sort of system. Basically what you do is you have buildings and towns and stuff, and you're building up your city kind of like you would in Civilization, but you also have a like hero character, and you travel around the map, and as you go around the map you have encounters and you fight, and you level up your character. It's very Heroes of Might and Magic-y in a sense, but kind of like a more modern take on it. So Age of Wonders, while not the newest game, I would highly recommend. You could probably pick it up for $5, maybe $10. Age of Wonders Planetfall is not as well received as Age of Wonders is. Age of Wonders has stellar ratings, but it is the latest take, and it is in a sci-fi setting as opposed to a fantasy-based setting. So if you're more into the sci-fi, I honestly think you could probably get a good amount of gameplay out of this. And if you've never played an Age of Wonders game at all, you're probably just in for a nice experience. I think a lot of the complaints in the reviews are coming from people who played the stellar Age of Wonders and got a less than stellar Age of Wonders Planetfall, but at the same time, I know when I jumped into Age of Wonders, all the DLC was out, everything was available, so we had the best version essentially of the game, or the most feature complete version to play. Going into Age of Wonders, obviously, you know, Age of Wonders Planetfall is a new genre, it's a new take. They were trying to do new systems, and I don't think everything is quite there yet. But this game series in general is a nice one to check out. And 66% off puts it at $17. And you'll get a lot of hours out of this if you like that Might and Magic style stuff, or you like Civ, or anything like that. We're getting there. Avoid Wolfenstein Youngblood. It's got pretty bad reviews all around. Moving on. Okay, so we got Souls and Swords Never Seen. So this is on my wish list, but it's not in my cart because I just feel like it's a game that I'm not in a rush to play, even though I do want to play it. And this one is interesting because it's a turn-based RPG style game, but you level up your character by actually doing these mini games that involve like dexterity in a lot of cases. Like if you want your archer to get better, you actually have to play like this archery mini game and use that to level up your character as opposed to just getting raw experience from battles, which is a pretty interesting way to go about things. And I think this looks really neat, and it definitely looks like a change of pace. You can see here like the warriors trying to level up by like, it looks like slicing these apples out of the air when they hit the circles. So basically it's a combination of like a Final Fantasy style back and forth combat RPG, but with a bunch of these like action based mini games that you use to level up your characters. Couple of DLCs here for a few other games that I would probably mention if we got to them. So some of those would be Warhammer Mechanicus is a Civ style version of... Oh, no, that's Gladius. Mechanicus is a turn-based, grid-based game set in the Warhammer universe. So we can check out the baseline game. Here's available for $10.50. So if you like Warhammer or that vibe, and this is Warhammer 40K, by the way, then you could definitely check this out. It's got pretty decent ratings. The other one is down here, which is Gladius. Gladius is a Civ-style version of Warhammer 40K, where you have like hex-based map laydouts, and you're building up your city and everything, but at the same time you're putting units on the board to go fight and combat your opponents. And there's a lot of DLC and stuff for this as well. 65% off. So if you're looking for this style of game, pretty solid pickup here if you're really into the Civ style stuff and you want something with a much different vibe and probably a heavier focus on combat. Pathfinder Kingmaker is a CRPG, meaning it's in the veins of like Baldur's Gate, Divinity, that kind of stuff. But this is set in the Pathfinder universe. I think the Pathfinder universe is actually pretty cool. But if you're looking for a game that's going to have a lot of story and dialogue and party-based RPG customization, this is definitely one that you can check out. And it's available for $15. It looks like 25% off. So nothing too crazy, but they actually just put out a ton of updates, kind of like their last hurrah update for the game. So it's a great place to jump in because you have like all the DLCs and changes, which includes a pure turn-based mode as opposed to the semi-real-time combat system that a lot of CRPGs use. You're able to use either or, and I think you can switch back and forth as you need to. So you can check that out if you're in the market for a CRPG. There's a lot of other ones that are going to be available too if you dig in deeper to the sale itself. Bound to be some Pillars of Eternity in there and some other games as well. And we're really kind of running out of stuff here at the last couple of pages, and that's kind of why I put the 50 page thing on here. because I figured at this point we're digging into stuff that you probably either heard of, you know, or just isn't worth checking out. We got Void Bastards at $15. This is a roguelike first-person shooter game that I think is a little bit more arcadey. It looks pretty interesting. This is going to be coming to the channel via the Xbox PC Games Pass, which I think you should definitely check out. If you like first-person shooters, you like roguelikes, then this is definitely one to check out. It's very highly rated as well. I think the ratings have gone down a little bit, but that's just because more people are playing it. The people that this is, this is the core audience for, I think are really enjoying it. Almost there. Coming up on an hour for the stream, or not the stream, the video here. We got Death in Request. This is another JRPG visual novel combo. I don't know why the video is age restricted. It doesn't have any like racy images or anything. It's probably just mature, because this does have a more mature theme in terms of the story. It's a lot darker than some of the other ones. But this, once again, is a JRPG that has an interesting combat system and also has the visual novel elements as well. So this and Dragonstar Varnir are both like really solid pickups for that. If you want like a kind of traditional take on those things with twist, whereas like Ni no Kuni Remastered is a different style altogether, but still a JRPG. Operentia Stolen Sun is available for 50% off. This is a dungeon crawling style game. If you've ever played one of the games where your party basically advances through a dungeon like you're in a grid or on a grid, where you kind of, if you look at the map here, you go one tile at a time and you either encounter something or you don't, whether that's a battle or a treasure or whatever. This is that style of game. It's pretty highly rated. And this is one of the newer ones that has come out. It was an Epic Games exclusive. It looks like it still is for the Humble Bundle, at least. But I believe this is available on Steam now. So maybe wait for a Steam sale if you're worried about that. But this has got character progression and RPG style stuff. It's got some puzzles, battles, all that kind of good stuff as well. This one's probably going to be coming to the channel as well. I already own this one. I'll probably be playing that here. And moving on to page 50, this is the last one. We've got Fell Seal, the baseline edition. Like I said, I recommend you go ahead and pick that up with the DLC if you want to. I think that's it. We're going to end it off on that note. Just come back around to Fell Seal. And that's 50 pages of the Humble Bundle sale. Now, I know this has gone over to just about an hour. It's a much longer sort of video. You guys let me know if you enjoyed this video, if you found it to be helpful for you. I'm assuming you slapped this thing on 2x speed and just kind of blurred through it. But this, is kind of intended to be like something where like you can sit down with me and we can go through the sales pages together. And help you pick out some stuff. And, you just got to spend an hour checking out the sales with me, hopefully. And if you have questions, leave them in the comment section below. If you look up a game or you're like, man, I didn't really find anything in that video. Is there a turn-based game you recommend or whatever? Just let me know. We went 50 pages in, but I'm the kind of person, like I've said in my intro video to the channel, that goes through all 220 some odd pages of the sale and looks for games and looks to see what's updated. And I know there are games that are in here that we definitely didn't touch on that are older, that are going to be super discounted. Like just looking at the final page here, Orcs Must Die 2, freaking amazing game that you can get a ton of time out of. Legend of Grimrock, also, that's what I was referring to for the grid-based games, like the Operentia game we just looked at. Super rock solid for the price. FTL is a really classic roguelike that's just really, really good. Like there's a lot of good stuff even on page 202. So if you have questions, if you're looking for something a lot cheaper than the stuff that we looked at today, then let me know. I'll probably do a video in the future of like games that I recommend picking up that are pretty old. But for these sales videos, I like to focus on the stuff that's kind of like newer and maybe you haven't heard of yet. Because a lot of people, if you're into the genre, you're going to know about Orcs Must Die 2, or you're going to know about FTL or whatever. But you may not know about some of the stuff that's come out within the last, 1 to 3 years. So that's what I wanted to cover on the sales pages. Thanks for hanging in there with me with my like voice loss kind of mid thing here. I try to do most of these videos just on the fly, so I don't have to put editing time into them, because that just drastically, exponentially increases the amounts of work that I have to do. And it's not that I don't want to put work into the channel, but I want to focus on gameplay and that kind of stuff here. So yeah, let me know what you think of the video. Throw a like on it if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, ring the bell, share the video, all that kind of good stuff to help the channel continue to grow. And hopefully you guys are having a good time with the games that you're playing. Hopefully you can find something new via this video if you're looking for something. I'm really happy to have you here on the channel, and I'll see you on the next video.